Hi, this is Virginia, and this is Dr. Borkin Knits. Today I'll be talking about my Make 9 and my knitting plans for 2025. Hi, my name is Virginia. I am a knitter in the Pacific Northwest. I live here in Washington, and I wanted to make a YouTube channel to be able to go back and forth with all you other knitters and YouTube podcaster video lovers like myself, where I can actually interact with you on a more one-to-one basis. So welcome if you are interested in connecting with knitters across the world, across the US. Please subscribe, comment. I would love to interact with you. So today I'll start off like every video. This is something that I made in 2024. It is the Home Sweater V-neck by Kadri. I made it with yarn that I had in stash, which was a gift yarn. It is typically not something I would buy on my own. The fact that it is a bit on the more expensive side. La Bien Aimée. I love her yarn. Gorgeous colors, gorgeous variants, so many different colors and yarn fiber types, but it is, it's definitely on the higher end of the cost spectrum. But my husband bought it for me. It is a mohair. Actually, no, it's a suri and a fingering held together to make this fabric. And it's in my favorite two colors, purple and pink. So today I wanted to talk about my Make 9. I have it assembled. It's right here. As well as some 2025 goals that I have set for myself. So I hope you enjoy this. And like I said, stick around and comment if you choose to do so. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first thing on my list, which is the Traveler Hat by Andrea Mowry. Here, when I went to Rhinebeck, or actually last year, when I went to Rhinebeck, I went with the intent of buying yarn for a matching hat and scarf and gloves. Wasn't my idea. I got it off of Knitty Natty. She made that one of her 2024 goals. So now I have it as my 2025 goals. Knitty Natty, if you don't know who she is a prolific knitter and podcaster, and on Instagram, YouTube, Ravelry, everywhere. And so I went to Rhinebeck with a plan of buying that yarn. And I found it in this yarn from a maker I actually have not heard of before. It's Fiber Optic Yarns. It is in worsted. It is a superwash merino with 20% cashmere and 10% silk. So as you can imagine, it's soft to skin. So the first thing I have planned with this is, like I mentioned, the Traveler Hat. So as you can see, pink and purple are my favorite. I didn't know if I was just going to do black or brown or, more neutral, but I really felt like I needed to do something that, if I'm going to have a matching set, that is me through and through. Okay, so the other two patterns from my Make 9 that is going to be made with this yarn, along with the Traveler Hat, is the Mitts, Rod and Mitts, as seen here, by Isolde Teague, also made in worsted. So I love these because it can get extremely cold here. I moved from Texas, so I really want to enjoy the cool breezes. So I often have, windows cracked or open. And when I'm working from home, my fingers can get cold. So I thought I really wanted to make a mitt set that was convertible. So with these, they're folded down. You can totally type with them and work with them. But then if you're going out, you can unfold the folded up brim of the of the hand, and have more of a covering garment. So that's why I chose this. And then lastly is the Sophie shawl. So shown here. So of course, many people have made this already. It is also in a worsted. So all three could go with this. And I really don't think that the mitts and the hat will take up too much yardage. So I think I'll have enough to make the Sophie shawl. But what I like about the Sophie shawl is that it is a repeating pattern. So no matter how much yarn you have, you can use it all up simply by weighing your yarn, knowing when you get to the halfway point, and then continuing the halfway to the end, using up as much yarn as you can. So those are my first three of my Make 9. Then the next one, I don't have yarn for yet. This is the Sundial Top by Iris H. It's made in a fingering, and I have a ton of fingering. So these are all my fingering choices, and I have a lot of them. This is Goober Grape from Chelsea Luxe. I would love that. You can't see it over here, but I have a fingering weight from Ritual Dyes. It's called Cancer from their Zodiac collection, made with fingering. Again, it's Iris H is the designer. And I saw this shirt made by A Naughty Mess. It's Megan of A Naughty Mess. It's another YouTube video producer, and hers is just so cute. So it went on to my Make 9. The next one on my Make 9 is Wool and Honey by Andrea Mowry. Now this I do have the yarn for, and I was very excited to get it just for Christmas. And it is Ruby and Roses. It is called, I believe, Chestnut, and it is their soft rose base, which is 85% merino and 15% nylon. So one thing about Ruby and Roses is that I just love her color theory. Again, she has tons of colors to choose from. And she is just the sweetest person. She also has a YouTube video, and this was on her winter collection, and I think my husband saw me admiring it and bought me enough, which usually when I buy fingering, I tend to just buy 3 skeins, because that's enough to make myself a good tee or t-shirt or top. So, it's rare that I'm going to get fingering like this, which this pattern calls for, and buy enough for a sweater. So this one calls for up to 2,000, yards. I'll probably use like 1,800. So my husband did get, 5 skeins of this, and each one has 437 yards. So I should definitely have enough. And I think it's such a, when you see it back here, it's just, kind of a maroonish brown, but, when you see it up close, all the tonality and the different colors I think would be make a very pretty Woolen Honey. Woolen Honey has been on my to-do list since it came out. Came out in 2018. And I've always wanted to make it. It looks good in any solid color because you want the honeycomb pattern to really pop. So you wouldn't want to generally make this with a variegated yarn. So I think this is going to be really pretty. Again, if you haven't checked out Ruby and Roses and you've never experienced her yarn, I would highly recommend it. It's just extraordinarily soft. And I've had really good experience using their yarns without, any problems. So, highly recommend. Okay, the next one on my Make 9 is this one. So this is the Dude sweater for my husband. It is made by Andrea Rangel Knits, as you can see here. It is made with a heavier wool. It's a coat. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. It is from the Big Lebowski movie, and in there, one of the characters wears this sweater. He's the main character, the Dude, so my husband is a big fan of that movie for many reasons. Also, I have never knit my husband a hand knit. And I think I did make him when I first started, a hat, which is so poorly made. I don't think he can really wear it. I'd have to check to see if he still has it. But I bought all the yarn from Pearl Soho. And so this is going to be the main color of it. And then I have a corresponding lighter and darker brown that I will hold with it for the sweater. So that is definitely one of my goals and one of my Make 9s is to finally finish a sweater for my husband. Okay. So the next one, I do not have a yarn stash for. It's the snow sweater. It is by Pernille Larsen. So this past year in 2024, I knit my first Christmas sweater, and you can go back to my everything I knit in 2024 video if you want to check it out. But it is the holly sweater, and it's put out by Knitting for Olive, and it's so pretty, and I really enjoyed it. And so my daughter spotted this sweater and said, "Oh, I really like it." And so it's one of my goals to hopefully make it with her over the summer of this year. I don't have the yarn yet. It does call for a DK. So I have seen here on these pictures, you could see that the motif is just on the sleeves, but I plan on putting them all along the abdomen and ribbing as well. I've seen some people do that, and so that's what I really want to do, and or I might just make it like how it describes here. I'll have to talk it over with my daughter and see what she wants to do. So that is on one of my Make 9. Okay. Here is another one of my Make 9. It's the Sea Glass Cardigan by Woolen Pine. Now, this is made out of DK, and it's a real stash buster. So I'm hoping that I can find something out of my, not hoping, I will find something out of my stash. All of this is DK that you could see here. So, plus I have tons of just scraps from other projects. So, this will be a stash buster, and I'm really happy about that. And so you could see that each line is, can be a different color, or you can make it repeat, whatever you want to do. What I like about this is finally the Sea Glass series by Woolen Pine is All of them are, each row is a different color. So in the sea glass tea, which as soon as I saw it, and as well as the subsequent patterns, I really wanted to make. The problem is literally they want you to make like a little knot to go to the next color. And I just felt that would be a painful process. So what I like about this is somehow I read somewhere, could be wrong, but I think I read that at the end of, going from one side to the next, because it's a cardigan, then you're going to just either knit them into a I-cord bind off. So it's not any extra work to have all these colors, because you're just going to use them in a bind off. So we'll see how that goes. So I really am excited. I think all the sea glass patterns are just so pretty, and like you can see here with the green background and all the different colors. So it's going to be really fun to play with what you would, colors you would like, and just complete playing with them. So then my next pattern is the Anthology Throw by Helen Stewart. I'm sure most of you have seen all of these on YouTube. Many YouTubers and many knitters are knitting them out of Advents. So I joined the wagon and decided to go for do my first blanket with my Advent that I had this year. So the Advent that I had for this past Christmas was from Ruby and Roses. I'll show it here. So as you can see, it's just all gorgeous colors. They are, heavy in color, but also heavy in variation, heavy in speckles, and of course, just as soft as her, the rest of her line of yarns. And so my goal, I've never knit a blanket, and so I want this to, in my in one of my goals to finish, actually. So it was published in 2022 for the Advents that year. So in 2023 and then 2024, it really became very popular. And so I want to start this with my Advent that I got from Ruby and Roses. So I think that might be everything. Yeah. So those are my Make 9. Again, I'll show them here. And I do have, in addition to that, some 25 goals, some of which I've hit already. Again, it's using stash. I have a ton of stash that I would love to use. And my goal is by the end of the year to have less yarn in my stash. I feel like collecting yarn is just as fun as the knitting part of it. Just feeling them and swishing them and holding them and collecting them is just, to me, half of the fun. I know a lot of people do not like to have a big stash, and it makes them nervous, and several podcasters made it their goal to get through all of their stash or most of their stash. I don't think I need to buy any more yarn for several years if I was going to try to get through all of it. I would need a lot of scrappy projects, because I do have a lot of just leftover balls as well. So my official goal is to simply have less yarn than I started with by the end of the year. Another one, which I've already mentioned, is finishing a blanket. And so I already have a plan for that as one of my Make 9. It's the Anthology Throw, and I'm excited to get started on that. So if you want to see me hitting some of these goals, please subscribe. So when my next video comes out, you can take a look of how I'm doing and keep me accountable. Okay, then another one of my goals is to make a Halloween sweater as well. I'm a big Halloween fan. I'm a big, all holiday fan. I just love them all, from St. Patty's Day to Valentine's. And so this is my first really Halloween buy. It is Arcane Fiber Works. I don't think I've ever seen them in person, but they're very heavy on my Instagram. And I want to see if any of you can guess what villain in the Disney series this is based on. And I think it screams her name. So I gave you a clue with her, but this is Maleficent. And it just screams her. All, just so pretty. I'm really happy. I bought a sweaters quantity with them, and they threw in an extra skein of yarn. I thought this was so nice. And so if you haven't, at least follow them on Instagram, because they are showing their dye process constantly, and it's just so pretty to see it, blank, and then all the colors poured on, and then the finished product skeined up like this. So with this, I'm deciding whether I need to hold it to make it kind of more concentrated in either purple or black mohair, holding it together, either, even a green or a purple or a black, or do I just knit it just with the yarn alone? So I can't decide that, but I'm going to have to make this a summer project as well to make sure that I get it off my needles by Halloween. So this is one of my goals. Another goal is to use more non-superwash yarn. So like I said, I'm all in to squishy and soft. So it's taken me a long time through the whole knitting years to finally get to the point where I appreciate a non-superwash. And again, this is very much influenced by other YouTubers out there, because they were telling about their experience, and so I dabbled, and I couldn't agree more. So for those of you who may not know, when you use a non-superwash yarn, it is a little bit more rustic, a little bit more prickly effect, but it just softens so well and is so much warmer, and also it holds the stitches so well. So one of my goals is to use to get a bright, beautiful blue like this. So when I was out and about, I bought this Miss Babs. It's 100% superwash merino, and I had it on my to-do list to knit it this year. And as you can see, it's gorgeous on its own. But then my daughter bought Ruby and Roses, and she had the same thought. And when it came, you really can't see it, appreciate the difference on the video. But this is just so much more darker yet brighter. And my daughter got it on the superwash base, and she's actually knitting with it right now. But this was called My Name, and I had this in my stash, and I resisted, and I did not buy it when Ruby and Roses had it out, because I thought that I was going to knit with this, and I had to be happy with this. And but of course I caved. So when she put this color out, in Rustic Rose DK, which is a non-superwash merino, 246 yards. And I said, oh, it can't be as pretty as her yarn. And because non-superwash in general will hold the dye more than non-superwash. So I don't know how Ruby and Roses did it. I was very skeptical that it was going to be just as pretty as my daughter's, but it is. In fact, this is my daughter's superwash. She still hasn't used this skein yet. This is glowing indigo, if I didn't say. And then this is my non-superwash. And, you know, to me, there is minimal to no difference. And I really felt like that I was getting what I needed or what I wanted. And so I was just so call me spoiled, but I just really wanted this, lusted after this. So a few months later, when she put it out on her, you know, Rustic DK, I had to get it. So this is whole part of my use more non-superwash. So I do have a couple more that I bought. I did buy some at Rhinebeck with that same thought process. And again, for all of these that I bought, I don't have a pattern in mind, but this is by Farmer's Daughter Fibers, and it is a 100% Montana and Wyoming Ram Brule. And she lives in Montana, and her yarn shop is in Montana, and she mainly has her own yarns plus lots of, I've never been there, but it is one of my goals. And so this is a let's see, it is 255 yards, so it's a DK. I like the name. It's Green Bitch. That is the name. So hopefully I don't get censored for that. But it's a non-superwash, and so of course I'm going to choose something that has a lot of cables to make the cables pop on this non-superwash. Another one that I wanted to show you that I did get that is also non-superwash is this, and again at Rhinebeck, was from Sonder Yarns. So I've seen this all over YouTube, and so I was very eager to, when I found out that she was going to be in Rhinebeck 2024. She was actually part of like one of the pre-Rhinebeck sale. And called A Woolen Affair, and she was there, and it was so crazy to see they were former owners of Espace Tricot, which is a yarn shop in Canada, and now they make yarn. I think it's, and so when I saw that she was going to be there, this is where I beeline to, and this is BFL with Blue Face Leisure, Masham, and 10% cashmere. But you can feel, you know, the rusticness of it. So many of her patterns are paired with the mohair as well. So I did get the mohair. It's called their Halo base. And so I'm excited to use this, you know, this year. So all of these yarns that I'm showing you here are the one of my goals of knitting with more rustic non-superwash yarns. So just a few other of my 2025 knitting goals is I want to knit more socks. You know, in between patients that I see, I'm a telemedicine doctor online, and in between I do have a few minutes sometimes, or sometimes the patient doesn't show up for their appointment, and so I have some downtime, and it's perfect to have, you know, a small project there that you can pick up quickly. When you have sweaters, you know, or even the blanket that I'm going to choose to do this year, it can be more cumbersome. And I find that if you have a small project, you can get just a few stitches on in between. And so one of my goals is to make more socks. And then another one of my goals is just to be more committed to my knitting journal. What size I wore, I made, how many times that I wear a certain garment, what alterations I made to the pattern, because now I've been doing it long enough where I want to go back and remake some things I've made before, but in different colors. And I have none of that information. I'm a horrible Ravelry user. I just mainly use Ravelry to store the patterns that I have purchased in my library, but I've never been a good Ravelry, keeping my Ravelry up to date. So I'm more of a paper person, and I really want to be more committed to my knitting journal. So I've started, and I am going to continue. So I hope that was fun for you. I'm certainly excited about the year coming up, and I hope that you will join me in making some commitments for 2025, starting on them, and follow along with me on my journey to complete them. Have a great day.